This seriously is like the 9th greatest moment of my life.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the most unwatchable hosts in SNL history, whose episodes showcased awkward stage presence, cringe-worthy acting, and a complete lack of comedic timing.
Then I took it to my room, and guess what happened? Something crazy.
Number 30, Billy Bob Thornton. Although he first broke into Hollywood playing a sympathetic individual with developmental disabilities, Billy Bob Thornton has since gained a reputation for his more sinister roles. That dry, sleazy charm could have been comedy gold when he hosted SNL in 2001, but Thornton failed to use it to his advantage.
I mean, how do you think it feels to create something that means a lot to you, and then you find out they're selling plastic sling blade teeth in Spencer's Gifts? It's surely not fun.
Instead, he came across as disinterested, and his delivery failed to land with the audience.
You're right, son. These guys are about as quick as an Intel Pentium 1.
Maybe if he had been given more screen time, he could have turned it around. But Thornton was so invisible, you'd have thought he was a featured player in their first season. What could have been a great episode turned into a missed opportunity, which probably explains why we haven't seen him back since.
I want my fenced-in area to be an inspiration. And if y'all can't understand that, then I was born in the wrong world.
Number 29, Martin Lawrence. In the 90s, there were few comedians as big as Martin Lawrence. His hit sitcom made him a household name, so you'd probably be surprised to know he's only hosted SNL once.
Man, I am so happy to be here. This is a dream come true for me.
Well, that's because this one appearance was very controversial. During his opening monologue, Lawrence veered off script, delivering an uncomfortable tirade about female hygiene. It was so tasteless that reruns now edit it out completely, replacing it with disclaimers about how it landed SNL in trouble. It also got Lawrence banned from the show. Unfortunately, things didn't get better as the episode progressed, as Lawrence stuck to his usual shtick, which quickly wore thin.
Yo, Hornets, you ain't got nothing, you know what I'm saying? Then you ain't got no game. What's up with that?
Although the ban has been lifted, it's unlikely we'll see Lawrence return to host anytime soon. Number 28, Dion Sanders. Having athletes host SNL is always a gamble. For every Charles Barkley or Peyton Manning, there's always a Dion Sanders waiting to drop the ball.
It's been a great year so far.
Fresh off his 1995 Super Bowl win, Sanders made his debut at Studio 8H. Right off the bat, it was clear that this was a horrible decision.
And about a week ago, Lauren Michaels called me up and made me an offer. He said, Dion, I got a good team here at SNL, but it could be a great team. I need you.
Sanders' monologue was painfully unfunny, setting the stage for a night of line flubs, cringe-worthy antics, and flat-out terrible acting. The more the episode dragged on, the more unbearable it got. To top it off, Sanders then gave an atrocious performance of his rap songs, even though there was already a musical guest.
Let me see your hands in the air. Peace, we out of here.
It was as if SNL was trying to create reasons not to invite him back, and they absolutely nailed it. Number 27, Kelly Rippa. It can be quite challenging for SNL hosts to make their mark on the show, especially when they're sharing the stage with top-tier comedic talent. That seemed to be the case for actress and TV host Kelly Rippa.
You know, they asked me what I wanted to do for my monologue, and I was like, gee, I don't know. You know, I'm used to live TV, so I think I'll just talk to the people.
Despite her charm, Rippa couldn't quite keep up with the cast's energy, which only made her stick out like a sore thumb.
Are you saying my cat knows a record producer?
Well, not just a record producer, the Phil Styles.
When would my cat have a chance to meet Phil Styles?
This was even more glaring in the sketch where Amy Poehler nailed an impression of Rippa right in front of her.
You are so strong.
Don't touch.
And very brave.
The rest of the night didn't do her any favors, with material that barely gave her a chance to flex any comedic skills. She may be an experienced TV host, but this was one hosting gig where Rippa just didn't shine. Number 26, George Steinbrener. The best hosts are those who fully embrace the writer's ideas, let their guards down, and just have fun. So you probably understand why former Yankees owner George Steinbrener made this list.
You know, this show traditionally has two kinds of hosts. Entertainers, you know, actors and comedians, and then beloved figures from other walks of life.
According to then-writer Conan O'Brien, Steinbrener was quick to reject many of the writer's suggestions, insisting on only doing what he thought was funny. As a result, he barely appears in the episode, and when he does, the sketches are either bizarre, unfunny, or downright inappropriate.
You go through life, you follow your instincts, you make your choices, and you don't look back.
The lowest point of the night was a sketch in which Steinbrener plays a version of himself hitting on a reporter who tries to file a harassment complaint.
Mr. Steinbrener, I'd like to thank you for seeing me on such short notice, sir.
No problem at all, honey.
It was the first and last time SNL saw Steinbrener, and for good reason. Number 25, Chevy Chase. Chevy Chase remains one of SNL's biggest success stories. After debuting as an original cast member, Chase left midway through the second season to launch a successful Hollywood career. However, nearly every time he returned to host, he managed to stir some trouble.
I think that it's very hard to express how I feel in words.
In 1978, he and Bill Murray, who replaced him on the show, got into a heated argument that ended with punches.
I was ready to level him, and he was probably ready to scratch me up.
Then in 1985, he reportedly uttered several homophobic remarks at Terry Sweeney, the show's first openly gay male cast member. But the final straw came in 1997 when Chase hit Sherry O'Terry in the head during rehearsals.
Hello, Baywatch Barbie.
She's not a bimbo, she's a lifeguard!
This supposedly led producer Lorne Michaels to ban him from ever hosting the show again. Number 24, Jeremy Renner. When he was tapped to host this season 38 episode, Jeremy Renner set out to, quote, make a jerk of himself.
Good way to start the show, right?
The mindset was right, but the execution, not so much. From the moment he hit the stage, Renner looked so nervous, you'd wonder if he even showed up for the dress rehearsals at all. He never quite settled into any of the characters, spending more time not just reading the cue cards, but studying them like he was cramming for an exam.
Now remember, we have strong evidence that this is your brother. We just need you to confirm his identity. You ready?
Yes.
Okay. Dan?
That is, Yao Ming.
No, it's not.
It certainly speaks volumes that his standout moment for the night was when he had to play within his comfort zone in the Avengers parody sketch.
Look, I'm sorry, guys. I wish I could have been more help.
Number 23, Lance Armstrong. To say this episode has aged poorly would be putting it mildly. Back in 2005, when Lance Armstrong hosted this season 31 installment, he had just won his 7th consecutive Tour de France title and was basking in international acclaim.
And here he goes. He's off the bike and about to begin his run.
Sure, doping rumors were floating around, but nothing was proven, and he even joked about it in his opening monologue.
Tough one today, Lance. How would you describe it? Well, I think the biking went great. That was really the high point, though.
If that wasn't awkward enough, the musical guest was his then-fiancée Sheryl Crow, whom he declared he was, quote, definitely going to marry, only for them to split a few months later. Armstrong's subsequent scandal has made this episode virtually unwatchable, but even if you set that aside, his stilted performance still makes it skippable anyway.
Give me one thing you can do on foot that you can't do on a bike. Go upstairs. This interview's over, man.
Number 22, Rudy Giuliani. Believe it or not, there was once a time when Rudy Giuliani was the beloved mayor of New York City, celebrated for his leadership after 9/11. In November 1997, he even hosted an episode of SNL, which saw him poke fun at himself and the city.
I'd like to take this moment to officially announce that it is once again all right to hitchhike.
Giuliani seemed to be all in, even dressing up in drag as an Italian grandmother.
Did you eat? Not yet. My wife forgot to thaw the turkey, so we won't be eating till after the Rose Bowl.
She's Irish.
Oh!
but in hindsight, his hosting stint feels more like a calculated PR move to boost his national profile than anything else. Besides, most of the sketches just feature him being interviewed as himself, so there's nothing groundbreaking here.
I should also mention that the elections are over.
Outstanding. So, who won?
I did.
Congratulations.
Watching this now, it's pretty striking how Giuliani went from being in on the joke to becoming the punchline. Number 21, Elon Musk. When it was announced that multi-billionaire Elon Musk would be hosting SNL, not everyone was thrilled.
It's an honor to be hosting Saturday Night Live. I mean that. Sometimes after I say something, I have to say, I mean that.
In fact, some cast members openly voiced their displeasure with the decision, and as it turns out, their concerns weren't exactly off the mark. Musk's appearance was nothing more than an attempt to launder his public image.
Is this Smoking Squad?
Gang, gang.
Doctor, please tell us what's up with our bestie.
You all might want to sit down. What I have to say right now might be a little cringe.
While he did put in some effort, he often looked completely out of place, as he transitioned from playing a creepy doctor to a creepy TV producer to, you guessed it, a creepy priest.
Might I be of some help? I'm Father Dover. Your daughter and I were friends.
Ironically, the best moments of the night were those that featured little to no Musk, and that alone speaks volumes. Let's be real, no one needed this more than Musk himself.
No, I am not evil. I just misunderstood.
Number 20, Ronda Rousey.
UFC Hall of Famer Ronda Rousey fought tooth and nail for laughs during her hosting stint in January 2016. But unfortunately, she isn't as fast in front of the camera as she is in the ring.
I'm a big girl. I can take care of myself.
To be honest, hosting might not even be the right word for it. While she didn't make an ass of herself, she barely appeared in the live sketches. And when she did, her acting was wooden and she didn't really add anything.
I like the moon.
Yeah, but the moon's nice.
We can clearly see you looking at the cue cards, Ronda. Throw in a bland performance by Selena Gomez, and you had one of the worst episodes of season 41.
Number 19, Frank Zappa. Frank Zappa may be a stellar musician, but a suitable host he is not. Zappa hosted way back in October of 1978, and he made a total fool of himself and the show.
Thank you, and remember I'm reading this off these cards underneath this camera here.
While we understand that SNL is meant to be funny, there's still an expected level of professionalism, and Zappa did not adhere to it. He constantly broke the fourth wall and even addressed the cue cards, which resulted in his ban from the show.
I am a musician. And I'm giving a concert. No, that should be out there. That should be.
Zappa came across as an extremely uncomfortable and risky presence that could undermine the show at any moment, and the crew allegedly hated him for it. Number 18, Charles Groden.
I didn't know that there would be an audience here.
The infamous Charles Groden episode is a thing of Saturday Night Live legend. Groden took up hosting duties in October 1977, but awkwardly stumbled through his lines, improvised large swaths of content, and derailed sketches due to being blissfully unprepared for the show.
Chuck, those are John's lines.
Some say he missed rehearsals and bungled the night, and some say it was an Andy Kaufman-esque bit of meta humor that flew over everyone's heads. It was a disaster either way, and few people found him funny or enjoyable. Kind of like Andy Kaufman himself a lot of the time.
Look, could we take it again? Could we take those little things off your heads?
There is no again, Chuck.
Number 17, Milton Burl. Mentioning the Milton Burl episode to a cast member of the 1979 season may just give them unwanted flashbacks.
I'm so unlucky, if they sawed a woman in half, I get the part that eats. Would you believe that? I'm going bad. I'm a real loser.
Burl was allegedly a massive pain both in front of the camera and backstage. He had no qualms with completely taking over the show and tended to both hog the camera and upstage his fellow cast members. He also insisted on ad-libbing, made outdated jokes, including doing spit takes. He then ended the show with a mushy performance of September's Song and a pre-planned standing ovation, much to the anger of Lorne Michaels. In short, everyone involved seemingly hated him, and he was never invited back. Number 16, MC Hammer.
By the time MC Hammer hosted SNL on December 7th, 1991, he was already dancing his way out of the zeitgeist. You Can't Touch This was well behind him, and while Too Legit to Quit proved relatively successful, it wasn't the earth-shattering single that the former was.
Well, it's been a pretty good year for the Hammer. Hammer's new album is selling like hotcakes, and the Addams Family movie.
As a result, this episode reeked of a celebrity desperately trying to hold on to relevancy, especially when you consider that he was the musical guest as well. Unfortunately, he proved a bad host due to some wooden acting and making the odd decision to refer to himself in the third person.
Please, Hammer, don't hurt him.
While he may be too legit to quit, he wasn't too legit to fail.
Number 15, January Jones. January Jones is often considered to be one of the weakest links of the otherwise stellar cast of Mad Men, but you could argue that Betty Draper is meant to be rather emotionless and boring. However, even January's most diehard fans had trouble defending her SNL hosting gig.
Do it, say Don.
Yeah, say Don.
Say Don. Say Don.
Yeah, say Don.
Fine. Don.
She carried the show with the same bland personality, and while that may work for Betty, it doesn't work for live comedy. If her rather uninspired live delivery wasn't bad enough, she also stumbled over lines and showed audible confusion regarding the cameras. What's the camera? Critics thought she sucked the energy out of the show, earning her place in history as one of SNL's most awkward personalities.
I'm Joan. Yeah, I know.
Number 14, Al Sharpton.
Who in the right mind thought that a civic rights activist and Baptist minister would make for a good Saturday Night Live host? Sharpton hosted the show while running for president on December 6, 2003. But just because someone is a presidential candidate doesn't mean they're good at comedy.
You ever been arrested?
No, I haven't. You just pull us over because we're black.
Politicians and Baptist ministers do not often make for good actors. As everyone predicted, it was generally a disaster, as Sharpton often looked bored and uncomfortable, and it came across as little more than a transparent campaign ad.
All right, that's it.
Cut. That was fantastic. Cut.
His 2018 misspelling of respect was funnier than anything he did on Saturday Night Live. Number 13, Adrien Brody. Adrien Brody is a terrific case in proving that drama and live comedy require completely different talents. While Brody may be an acclaimed Academy Award-winning actor, he's easily one of Saturday Night Live's worst and most awkward hosts.
Okay, go ahead, thank you.
Yes, here I go to get it.
Okay, go ahead, get it.
Go ahead, get it.
You go
get it.
While he wasn't particularly funny throughout the whole show, it was his introduction of musical guest Sean Paul that really angered people. Brody allegedly went off script and introduced Paul while wearing fake dreadlocks and a Jamaican accent, a joke that was not approved or even known about. To make matters worse, it proved to be unfunny and offensive. The joke reportedly got Brody banned from the show, and he has since become a part of SNL legend. Number 12, Wayne Gretzky.
Wayne Gretzky's stint on Saturday Night Live was oddly reassuring. It reinforced the idea that everyone has flaws, and that even the all-time greats are human.
Hello, Gene. Great day to fish, isn't it?
Gretzky is often considered to be the greatest hockey player to ever lace up skates, yet he's certainly not an actor. And that's putting it mildly. We suppose seeing him play hockey with Wayne and Garth was cool, but that's the extent of this episode's quality, which saw the sports legend noticeably glancing off camera and delivering his lines and jokes with the enthusiasm of a brick wall. The episode is great as a time capsule, but certainly not as a funny hour of television.
You talk too much.
Number 11, Tom Green. Tom Green is certainly an acquired taste. The crass Green was invited to host back in November 2000 when he was at the height of his popularity, and it went about as poorly as you'd expect from the infamously odd performer. While we suppose the producers knew they were taking a risk when hiring the controversial comedian, it certainly didn't pay off. Green brought his brand of lowbrow, uncomfortable humor to the live sketch show, and the two types of comedy failed to mix. Next to his practiced sketch comedian co-stars, Green's farcical approach to acting came across as childish and unfunny. Number 10, Casey Affleck.
If there's one celebrity primed to host Saturday Night Live, it's the gut-busting, rip-roaring Casey Affleck. In case you can't tell, we're being sarcastic.
Grab a Corolla, have an extra large, 3 Parliaments.
To promote that hilarious movie Manchester by the Sea, Casey Affleck hosted the show in December 2016. And, well, it was the same old mumbly and deadpan Casey Affleck you've come to expect. While his reserved personality may work for dramatic movie roles, it isn't a boon in sketch comedy.
Well, you gotta get the laugh. You got nothing.
Besides the obvious standout Dunkin' Donuts segment, Casey seemed completely out of his element and had little chemistry with the cast.
I don't know if you've noticed, but I have this kind of scraggly beard, and it's not in a Santa way, but more in a Duck Dynasty way.
Still, we must give him props for his self-deprecating monologue.
Number 9, Lindsay Lohan. What makes Lindsay Lohan's terrible hosting gig from 2012 so outlandish is that she'd already proven that she could do it well.
Yeah, can I see your eyes, please?
Lohan had hosted Saturday Night Live 3 times going into this gig, so expectations were fairly high, despite the state of her career at the time. What could have been a big win for the actress instead went down as another missed opportunity.
I'm sorry, is everything okay?
She had next to no energy throughout the night, and her line delivery was extremely stilted and boring. To make matters worse, it was clear that she was reading off of cue cards. And like anyone obviously reading from a card, Lohan was emotionless, stiff, and boring.
You know, maybe it was too soon to come back.
Number 8, Andrew Dice Clay.
Andrew Dice Clay was a prominent stand-up comedian in the late 80s, known for crude and sexist humor. To much fanfare, Clay took up the mantle of SNL host in May 1990, just 8 months after he was banned from MTV. Both Nora Dunn and Sinead O'Connor refused to appear out of protest, and some viewers sent in hate mail and threats.
Why is this happening to me? All this fuss over one stinking show. I never meant to hurt nobody.
But their fears were unwarranted, as Clay was painfully sanitized and blandly self-referential, which made for a dull host and also annoyed the comedian's established fan base. Like the failed opening of Capone's vault, this was a national media event that instantly deflated.
Next thing you know, you'll pop a boinger or two, you know?
Number 7, Paris Hilton. Paris Hilton was a bit of a controversial pick, as many people were hesitant regarding her lack of acting or comedic experience. They were right to hesitate.
You tell me, Barbie, is this what it looks like? Ken and I are in love.
Hilton was not only unfunny and incredibly unprofessional, but she was also allegedly a huge pain behind the scenes as well. Tina Fey told Howard Stern that Hilton took herself way too seriously and was, quote, proud of how dumb she is. She also told him that Hilton was just generally difficult. You must be really unprofessional to have the otherwise sweet Tina Fey say something like that about you.
We've got a great show tonight. Keen is here.
Again, her words, not ours. Number 6, Louise Lasser.
Louise Lasser was plastered all over the magazines of the mid-70s due to her role in the satirical soap opera Mary Hartman, Mary Hartman.
Let me tell you something. They did tell me that this might happen, and
However, she quickly left the show after exhausting herself and seemingly had a minor breakdown, getting arrested and reportedly crawling around looking for drugs during SNL rehearsals. She was hated by Chevy Chase due to her apparent solipsism and constantly tried to back out of her obligations.
so what they did was they stuck me, in a different cell, which I thought was real nice of them, I mean, that was real nice, and they didn't have to do that.
The show itself was a sloppy and awkward piece of self-deprecating meta-humor, and Lorne Michaels refused to have the episode rerun out of embarrassment.
Number 5, Donald Trump. We're not adding Trump to this list solely because he's Trump. People thought he was truly terrible on the show, and so he earned the spot. Trump hosted the show twice, once in 2004 and again in 2015 while he was running for president. And while the episode garnered very high ratings, Trump simply couldn't let go of his ego for an hour and have some fun.
I said to the writers of this sketch, keep it modest, okay?
The episode seemed far too sterilized and pre-planned, as if the people in his team had vetoed 90% of the materials the writers must have surely come up with. Critics also felt Trump made for a dreadful host due to his horrible comedic timing. Number 4, Michael Phelps.
It's no secret that athletes kind of suck as comedians, and while Wayne Gretzky was awful, he looks like Jim Carrey next to Michael Phelps.
Oh, get up here, Michael! I can feel it, Coach! Ah!
Oh boy, that Michael Phelps episode.
He may be one of the fastest humans to ever enter water, but he had the grace of a dump truck in front of the camera.
I picked Stacy, Beth, Ashley, Rachel, and Jenny.
That's funny. I also picked Stacy, Beth, Ashley, Rachel, and Jenny. Your friends are hot.
Not only did he have no semblance of comedic timing, but he painfully stumbled through his lines and failed to read his cue cards on numerous occasions. The man is clearly not comfortable in live sketch comedy, and it made for an agonizingly awkward hour of television.
And as you can tell, it works wonders for me.
Number 3, Nancy Kerrigan.
Let's be honest here, that Nancy Kerrigan episode was a blatant ratings ploy, and nothing more. After being attacked by a hired man linked to rival Tonya Harding, the figure skater was national news, which the producers of SNL decided was a good enough reason to have her host.
No topic is off limits. Ask me anything you want about the last few months over here.
It definitely wasn't, as the episode demonstrated.
She was a horrible actress and comedian who lacked both timing and charisma, and she looked supremely uncomfortable the entire time, almost as if she was internally questioning why she was there.
Gotta ask you this, how's the knee doing?
Well, I still have a small bump now, but it really doesn't hurt.
We were, and still are, wondering the same thing.
I was just not trying to think about that.
Number 2, Justin Bieber. While it may have been popular to hate on Bieber in 2013, we like to think that viewers kept an open mind when it came to his hosting of Saturday Night Live. However, even the most open-minded viewers must admit that this gig was horrific.
What's your favorite song you sing, and how much do you like acting, and do you feel so free with your short hair? And I love you.
Bieber acted like he was the hottest thing on the planet, and came across as if he did not care at all about his performance or his cast members' comfort. Bill Hader allegedly called out Bieber's diva behavior, deeming him difficult to get along with and singling out his enormous entourage who doted on his every move.
He just seemed like exhausted or just at the end of a rope.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1, Steven Sagal. Action stars don't often make for great comedians. However, that didn't stop SNL from hiring Steven Sagal as its host back in 1991.
I couldn't help overhearing what you guys were saying, you know?
Sagal was never known for his acting chops, and sadly, when taking the spotlight on SNL, he didn't surprise anyone. Bad acting is one thing, but he was an alleged pain in the butt behind the scenes.
That makes me very nervous. You know, people who see my daughter should have plans.
He apparently complained about not understanding the jokes that were given to him, pitched terrible and inappropriate sketch ideas, and was reportedly rude to both the cast and writers.
Perhaps the most interesting, a picture of you listening to the President of the United States on speakerphone as he reveals his part in the conspiracy.
When it comes to horrible SNL hosts, no one competes with the boring and misguided mess that was Steven Sagal. Contrary to our opinion, which of these individuals did you think did a great job hosting? Let us know in the comments.
Perhaps their prevailing error is not expecting a sneak attack.
Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from WatchMojo and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.